All right. Well, welcome everybody. I want to introduce Kelly Cain, the president and CEO of SEFA, and we're going to do a little MAFSI member spotlight here, just kind of get to know Kelly. So, Kelly, the first question should come as no surprise. What's your favorite non-work related activity and why?
So when I'm not at work and if I can get a little time outside, I am a tennis enthusiast. I don't know if I'm a particularly good tennis player, but I really love it. Um, just something I've done for probably the last few decades, actually, and I always find joy in it.
Awesome. Have you had any chances to go to like the U.S. Open or any other live tennis events?
I have been to the U.S. Open, as well as a couple of the kind of the amateur circuits that move around the country, which I think those are actually a lot more fun because the interaction with the crowd and the approachability of the players makes it really just a different type of event versus the polished and very, I guess center court, main event, if
Sure,
you will. So
sure.
it's kind of fun, as well as like the team tennis tours. There's all kinds of really very cool manifestations of it to take in.
That's awesome. I'm not a tennis player myself. I mean, I've played a few times, but I'm by no means a tennis player. I always think it's fascinating how there's like different types of courts. There's like grass courts and clay courts and the
Yeah,
kind of courts you see at the U.S. Open and what have you. Do you have a preference? Have you experienced all those types or?
I have. I think uh, I love them all differently. I like the speed you can get on a hard court when you're playing and you can manage like when to start sliding. Something kind of crazy and teenager comes out in you, like I'm sliding across the clay court. And the grass is just a different game because the ball moves differently. I think my favorite would probably be the hard court because I like to hit the ball hard.
Gotcha,
I
gotcha.
don't necessarily control it well, but it's a great way to really just kind of let loose and work off some steam and just run around. So, and I like the traction you get on the hard court.
That's cool. I think tennis is great because it's something you can do your whole life.
Yep, yep.
Um,
And there's so many people. I've met people in the industry. I was actually just remembering that I went to host a few years ago and I took my racket and met up with somebody there. We went and found some clay court in Milan somewhere. Shoes and a racket and you're ready to go.
that's awesome. Yeah, not all business has to be done on a golf course, like they say. There's lots of other ways to do
Thank God. I'm a bad golfer.
it. Same here. What is your guilty pleasure?
So I actually have a number of them, but I think the number one guilty pleasure is wine. And then with a side of wine and some more wine. I I would never advocate that I have a really strong wine palate, but I love everything about it. I love how you celebrate with it. I love to learn about it. I think it's a very, very deep and broad topic for me that goes well beyond just drinking it.
Well,
So.
I think we'll get to this in a little bit, but having an agricultural background, how does that affect the lens in which you view wine production and vineyards?
So I think it's fascinating. If there's a number of different levels in there. I think just the nerding out on what role the winemaker plays and how they influence the flavor and quality of what ends up in your glass, to being a kid of agriculture and having being at the mercy of what Mother Nature's going to deal you that year
Yeah,
with your production, and then the fascination of what is that going to mean in terms of your vintage.
yeah,
um, I'm kind of fascinated by dry farming regions because the roots have to make it on their own,
yep.
and there's something very nostalgic from a farm type of perspective, and I've yet to find an ugly region where they grow wine. I mean, they're all spectacular, beautiful places.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I'm 45 minutes from the Willamette Valley where I live, so I get to
Oh,
witness this region on quite a regular basis.
yeah. So where I grew up, the highest point in our county was 90 feet above sea level, and that was the hill.
And where did you grow up?
It is. Central Illinois, about 3 hours south of Chicago,
Okay.
just right in the middle. Kind of looked like the entire region got stomped flat
Yep.
at some point in the history, which it did by a glacier, but very, very flat. And while a beautiful um, Corn Belt, Farm Belt area of the nation, um, the wine regions are spectacular as well
Yeah.
in very different ways. So,
Yeah. I'm fascinated by the process of dry farming, you know,
mhm.
biodynamic production of wine, things of that nature. It's wild to see
Yeah.
what they can do. And wine's interesting because unlike a lot of other alcohol, it's so different year to year.
Yeah.
The same bottles come out, different vintages, very unique, which makes it fun.
It does. And I'm very interested in just, again, I mean, I think I could be a lifelong student, but just kind of learning about that and just, well, I like that, and I wonder if those growing conditions are the same. And it's just, I think it can be a very fun journey that, like I said, extends well beyond. I would like a nice red to pair with a steak.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I really like all that part of it. And just the organic nature of the product and never knowing what you're going to get,
Hmm.
I think is pretty fascinating.
And
So
somebody mentioned you might be training to be a som or taking a som class.
I am taking my level 1 SOM test later this fall.
Wonderful. Good for
Um,
you.
thanks. I'm looking forward to it. Um, it's just something that's been on my someday list for a long time, and someday is coming up soon. So just in I don't know, about 10 weeks or so.
Awesome.
So yeah, I would love to take it farther. I don't know that I have the palate for it. We'll see, but I'm truly enjoying learning about it, and so it's a great angle to get into that. And and then again, of course, it's the guilty pleasure of just who doesn't love wine and chocolate or wine and cheese.
Right.
Um,
Right. It's the kind of practice you
shameless
want.
shout out. Shameless shout out. I found a restaurant last weekend called Let It Brie, and it was a good moment.
That's great. So kind of not to use a corny pun, but to pair wine. The next question is about your favorite meal or the next meal you'd like to have.
It's the next meal I'd like to have. Let's see. So I've had some amazing dining experiences in the industry. I think my favorite was a steak tasting flight. That was pretty
Oh,
ridiculous.
that's
But
wild.
if I could be anywhere for my next meal, it would probably be my mom's kitchen. She was a fantastic cook, and there's nothing like going home for your
Hmm.
favorite meal. And that was a pretty special place to serve actual love and bowls of love. So
What are some of the standout dishes? What are some of her specialties that you just can't miss if you got to make a list?
if I had, let's see, so we were a farm kid, so everything, of course, made from scratch. Um, I think my favorite meal that she would make would be this just silky, unctuous broth of beef and noodles with homemade egg noodles. I mean,
Awesome.
the stick to the Midwestern ribs in you, and there would always be a homemade dessert. And she would do, I mean, cold cucumber soup, unbelievable.
Okay.
Homemade gazpacho. She had her Midwestern twist on Asian inspired flavors. She just anything in the world, and just homemade corned beef hash. Yeah, just it went on and on. So, but the favorite would probably be beef and noodles. So
Awesome. I love it. I love
yeah.
it. Next on the questionnaire here is what's your favorite? Or no, let me back up here. What would be one piece of advice you'd give to a young person joining the industry or already involved in the industry?
So, and I answered this, and I'm really have thought a lot about my answer. I haven't been in the industry that long. I'm actually, not a career food service person. Um, Only been in the industry about 7 years. And when I came here, I had the benefit of drawing on different industries and
Hmm.
different experiences. If I had a young person in front of me, I would encourage them to share what they know, share their perspective. We are an industry that I think has a lot of opportunity for forward progress, particularly in the areas of how people just of a different generation use social media, social marketing, digital
Hmm.
connectedness. And so I would just say use your voice. And if the person you're talking to doesn't want to hear your voice, there's a lot of us in this industry that do. stay with it, stick with it, because it's a vibrant place to be. I just think I love their perspective, and I love perspectives of really every demographic and every age and age, stage, and range. But use your voice.
Hmm.
Don't think that we have all the answers. Share what you bring from your perspective, because there's just a whole different way to do business in other industries. And honestly, a lot of the newer members to the adulthood have grown up with technology and tools and perspectives that a lot of us just never had until we were a little, much more developed in our
No,
careers.
I think that's great. It's really sage advice.
Especially for young women. Especially for young women, please use your voice.
Kind of along the same lines as, some of the advice you're giving. What are some of the trends that you really like that you're seeing right now in our industry?
So the trend that I think speaks most to me, I travel a lot, I eat out a lot, and given the choice, there's no place like home to me, whether that's, preparing a meal or ordering it in. But my favorite trend is kind of the marriage of that grocery and it's kind of the grocery and restaurant.
Uh-huh.
My local market has a full scale grill back behind the meat counter. So, I can pop in the store, especially on the way home from the airport, order a piece of protein, and they'll actually be cooking it. I can round out my grocery shopping, pick up a few things, go pay for it, and go back to the counter and pick that up. And I'm not too proud to throw a bag of steamed vegetables in the microwave. And then I just love being able to have somebody else do the work. I like the affordability of the price point, and then I can eat where I want to eat and have no cleanup, which is really in my own house. So
Yeah.
I like that for convenience, for health, for every other reason too. I mean, I love to eat out, but that's probably my favorite right now. And the changes in grocery stores just in the last 5 years are just really unbelievable. And
Hmm.
I think also just across the country, you see different trends, but that one for me locally is my favorite one. And I may use it tonight.
Yeah, and I love that. And you're seeing grocery stores becoming more of a hub where they're introducing, some tasting rooms or bars and, to go food, not just a hot cabinet or a cold cabinet of, prepared food, but actually made to order type stuff. We're seeing a lot of that.
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's like I said, it's very flexible, and life is busy. You're juggling work, you're juggling home, you're juggling kids, and I think anything that you can get the easy button, hit that easy button with affordability, maybe health, convenience,
Yep.
and divert that time to maybe being present instead of being on the behind the stove. So
Yeah. No, I love that. Uh, the last of the required questions that we ask is what's your, and we have to, we're shameless here. What's your favorite part about being a MOFSI member?
So, SEFA has a longstanding and very deep partnership with MAFSI, and I knew that when I was told that. I taught that when I first came to the industry. But really settling in and making connections with MAFSI members have not only led to just some really great friendships and acquaintances, but I'm a bit of a dreamer. I'm always looking to the future, and it has been a tremendous place to find kindred spirits and like-minded people. And we are able to have these connections where we think about the challenges in the industry.
Hmm.
I think the lines of the channel are blurring. We all kind of talk about that from time to time, but the channel's all connected, and it's just really inspiring to connect with other members, and especially one of those conversations that says, hey, you know what we should try,
Hmm.
and we try new things together, and sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't, but it's really it's just motivating, and like I said, it's enriching, and it really helps me see the industry through other channel areas of the channel, and it's beneficial, I think, not only to me personally, but to the role that I play for the dealers we support within SEFA, and the manufacturers and manufacturer reps that we are very, very connected and delightful to have good relationships with.
Well, thank you. That's very complimentary. I love that answer.
It's all true. It's all true.
Now it's time for the wild card questions. This is probably
Okay.
my favorite part. I love this answer. I want to hear you kind of expound on it. What is an obscure fact about you that no one else will know?
So, an obscure fact about me: I'm. If you know me, you probably wouldn't call me outdoor girl. I live in a metropolitan area, but while it was no Yellowstone, I did grow up on an active cattle ranch, cattle farm. I spent my childhood and my formative years there, and it was, like I said, it's not very glamorous, but it was a pretty cool place to grow up. I don't think I appreciated it at the time,
Yeah.
but looking back now, there were some really great parts of it. I think my parents were hardy souls. They would send us out on dirt bikes to herd cattle because herd cattle on horses these days. We didn't.
A lot of four-wheelers
Yeah,
and dirt bikes, right?
dirt bikes. And to say I was a tomboy was probably an understatement. I was the only girl in the family. So if you are strong enough and weigh enough to buck a bale of hay and chase cattle, their gender did not play a part in that.
Right.
So you got out there and worked.
Plenty of work for anybody willing to go out there and do it.
Or not willing. I was very jealous of all my city friends that got to meet up for ice cream after school in the area where I grew up, because we went home and worked. But it was a great place to grow up. I like to refer to myself as the original food service employee, since I was
I love that.
feeding cattle.
It's the headwaters of a steak dinner.
Yep. I literally would drive a tractor when I was in kindergarten. I went to school half day, came home in the afternoon, and my dad would set everything, and I would actually drive the tractor. Wow. It would prevent him from having to stop it, start it, jump on, jump off. And he could do what he was doing around going to different feeding stations and wow. shelters around the cattle fields, cattle farms. So it's a lifetime away. It's just, it's like I said, it was a really great place to learn hard work, to learn responsibility, to learn working together, and to learn actually helping your neighbor. We were a farming community, mm-hmm. and we had some farm ground that we actually grew grain for feed and such. And when one farm's done, you go down the road and you help your neighbor out. So it was a lot of life lessons for sure.
I bet. And some parallels to, a buying group of cooperation between potential competitors for the greater good.
Absolutely. And those really areas, cool. Grocery stores, Power, all of those organizations are actually still mostly co-ops, because mm-hmm. that's how this country was fed and powered for generations, actually.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very cool. All right. The last question, we're almost done here. I really like this. What's something you've crossed off your bucket list lately?
So last year, of course, being somewhat of a wine enthusiast, I really wanted to combine two things, which was my passion for wine and just taking a solo adventure. So I took a solo trip to the south of France and kind of knocked around for a week, going to different wineries and having different experiences. And it was just spectacular. I think we travel as families, and we travel with friends, and we travel with, whether that's growing up with parents or your own children or what have you. But there's just something very, very magical, I think, about being present in a place and honestly kind of just having the opportunity to do whatever you want to do and enjoy that moment, and spend as much time or as little time. So I think it's kind of the whole, I'm free to be me and do what I want to do. And also being someplace that I really, really love, and experiencing the food, the culture, and the history, and the wine, and all of that. So it was spectacular. I can't wait to go on my next solo trip, wherever that is.
You don't have another one lined up yet?
No, I have a lot of destinations, but I don't have a solo one.
Gotcha.
Yet.
Well, yeah. On this last solo trip, what were some things that surprised you as far as, being caught off guard at how great something was, or something that you might have overlooked had you not, had to pull over for gas, or something that kind of stood out as unexpected, but a wonderful interaction or discovery?
I think there was one particular area. It was a little tiny town called Viviers and it's almost a town that history forgot. Roman walls. It wasn't destroyed after the war. There was a simplicity of life there. And there was a gentleman, Julian, and his wife, who had bought it was a convent, and they were turning it into a bed and breakfast. And it just seems so juxtaposed to have that kind of a business endeavor in a sleepy, quiet village that was so simple. But that's actually why they were doing it. They had left Paris. So there was this opportunity to kind of, I sat and talked to him and his wife for a long time, and they're a couple that are very motivated to kind of create opportunity for themselves, but they're doing it in this tiny village that it's just such a simple way of life. And I appreciated their view of how to take time and how to be present in the moment and enjoy every day. And it's something that's kind of, I have to remind myself sometimes when I get a little bit too working too much, but there's a lot of places in the world where the rat race doesn't exist as overtly as I think it does in my life and in my geography where I am. And I'm very drawn to that. I'll never be on a farm. I'm not despite being a farm girl, I'm good not being on the farm. But there was that, it was just like a place and time. And I really enjoyed that. I really, really enjoyed it.
Oh, I love hearing that. That's great. Well, Kelly, thank you for letting us get to know you, rather. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, and we look forward to having you at many MAFSI events and seeing you here soon.
Thank you, James. It was great to get to know you too. And I am, like I said, I love my relationships with MAFI and the MAFSI members. And I look forward to seeing everybody at the upcoming MAFSI conference in January, if not before.
Likewise. Thank you so much.